Hi, my name is Ronak. I am 12 years old and a kid reporter for Time for Kids. I am here with the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, to talk about his recent advisory on mental health. It's a good time to have this discussion because the pandemic has been hard on kids' mental health, and the recent rise in Omicron cases is causing stress all over again. For example, some schools, mine included, have decided to go virtual after the holiday break. Hi, Dr. Murthy. Thank you for your time. I am so excited to speak with you.
Well, Ronak, I'm so glad we're having this conversation as well. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thank you, sir. All right, so should we jump right in?
Let's do it.
All right, so you recently issued a health advisory on mental health. Can you please explain what a health advisory is and what your most recent mental health advisory says?
Well, absolutely, Ronak. And I did recently, in December of 2021, I issued a Surgeon General's advisory on youth mental health. And a Surgeon General's advisory is a report that we issue to the country to call people's attention to an urgent public health problem. So if there's something that's concerning us that could impact people's health in a bad way, we want the public to know about it. But we focus this on young people in particular, because for a long time now, even before COVID-19, young people have been struggling with their mental health and well-being.
Why did you decide to issue the mental health advisory now?
Well, Ronak, the COVID-19 pandemic has been a big source of stress for a lot of people in our country and for people around the world. And those problems became worse for a lot of people during the pandemic, especially when kids weren't in school last year. So I wanted to issue this advisory now to call our country to action to address the mental health challenges that young people are experiencing all over America.
Yes, I can relate to this because last year I started a new school during the pandemic and it was really hard to make friends. Some schools are going back to remote learning because of Omicron. For many kids, this is stressful and a setback. Do you have advice for coping with it?
Well, Rona, can I ask you a question actually just about what you just said?
Yes.
You mentioned that last year you started a new school and that it was really hard to make friends. And I can only imagine in particular if you were virtual, if you had to do distance learning during that time, it probably made it even harder. How did you deal with those feelings of not being able to make friends, of perhaps experiencing loneliness during that time?
Well, I would reach out to some people in my class, and we started to chat with each other through online, and it made me feel a lot better. And also, I had my parents and my family and my brother.
You're highlighting something I think that's really important to say, which is that reaching out to people who care about you is so important during times like that. And one thing that I want everyone to know, Rona, is that it is okay to ask for help because all of us struggle at some point or another. Please know that you're not alone. And please know that others experience this too. That asking for help, that's never a sign of weakness.
So, what does good mental health look like?
Well, that's a good question, and it looks a bit different for everyone. One important thing to say here is you can't always tell from the outside, which is why it's so important to check in on people and not necessarily to assume that they're doing okay just because they seem to be gathering with other people or smiling all the time. But with good mental health overall has a couple of key principles to it. One, it involves feeling good about who you are, being comfortable with who you are. The other thing that's important are your relationships you have with other people. Good mental health involves having good relationships with family and with friends. It doesn't mean you need a lot of them, you just need a few. And lastly, good mental health is about being able to respond to difficult times that will come up in all of our lives. These are all parts of good mental health, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with other people, and our ability to deal with difficult times when they come.
That's really good to hear.
One of the things I just want to say to all the young people out there who may be listening, who've had a hard time during COVID, is that, look, this has been a very difficult couple of years. You're not alone in struggling. I don't want anyone out there to think that somehow because they're struggling, that means that they're weak. What you've gone through in these last 2 years is a very human experience. But I also want to remind you that we as human beings, we have extraordinary power and resilience to look for it if we're willing to reach for it.
I'm really glad I got to speak with you. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Ronak, I'm so glad that we spoke as well. Thank you for your interest in mental health. Thank you for being an advocate and a champion to help other people.
Thank you, sir.